They ran into the Lakers, and like I said at the beginning of the show, I haven't seen LeBron this locked in on defense since 2013.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and that's pretty crazy considering the fact he turns 39 years old in
Yeah.
about 2 weeks.
You think he's more locked in than 2020? I don't know. 2020 he was
Oh
pretty.
no. Yeah, that's a little tough. I keep forgetting about 2020.
Yeah,
That's a little
he
tough.
took
I
a
ain't gonna
break
lie.
when he was in Cleveland, but
Yeah. So 2020, 2013, and this year are the best I've ever seen LeBron defend. And that's pretty scary because he's not the best defender on his team.
no, he's definitely not. But he's still so smart. He's cerebral.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they're talking about his mind a lot more on the
Mhm.
broadcast because he's older and wiser. But man, yeah, he just knows where everyone is at. Everyone's supposed to be and on both teams, and
Mhm.
it's always an effort thing now when he's older, just
Yeah.
picking his spots kind of deal.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and he's not guarding point of attack when they need him to, but he's still big, he's still smart, he's still super athletic. He's just one of the greatest of all times. Praise to him, praise the Lakers. I got
Mhm.
some stats for you. Lakers
Mhm.
are 7th in defensive rating, but they're 0.3 away from 5, and 2 through 8 they're all separated by like 1.6. So it's like they're all neck and neck right there.
Mhm.
I said them and OKC are the only teams in the top 10 in pace and in defense. And over the last 10 games, Lakers have the second best defense and the best of the last 5 games. They've really locked in. D'Angelo Russell was very excited about winning this tournament.
Mhm.
And as LeBron accepted the trophy, D'Angelo was shooting shots in the background. That was great.
And man, and when you mentioned all those defensive stats, and then you remember they just got Jared Vanderbilt back.
Yeah.
And they
He's
still,
special. He's special
yeah,
defensively.
special defensively, and they still don't have Gabe Vincent back,
Yeah.
who I understand was struggling shooting. He does that. Like we don't. He does that, but defensively, as long as he's not guarding somebody who's too big for him,
Yeah.
he can be one of the best defenders on the floor at times. And so you
Mhm.
consider him, you consider Jared Vanderbilt, you consider Cam Reddish and his I don't want to say resurgence because he wasn't known as a defender, but his sort of coming out party as this lockdown defender. You
Mhm.
mentioned Anthony Davis, one of the best defensive players in the league. He doesn't get the credit he deserves as far as defensive player of the year votes, which we don't even have to. When award season comes, I'll get into what I think about awards. But that team defensively just has so much potential. And even just now, with them kind of getting healthy, being one of the best defensive teams in the league, aside from 2020, I can't think of a Laker team where that was their identity. And that's kind of the scary part. Because when you also think about who their coach is, Darvin Ham, and I understand Laker fans are real indifferent on Darvin. Not indifferent, he's very polarizing. But if we're being honest, Phil Jackson and Pat Riley are the only coaches Laker fans have ever liked. And
Yeah.
Pat Riley had a real hard time leading up to him leaving LA also. So that just comes with the territory. They expect wins, and they have every reason to expect wins. But Darvin Ham, coming from Milwaukee, on that championship team, they're going to prioritize defense. And I like the fact that he's still there
Mhm.
for that team to come together and for the front office to support him in what he's trying to do defensively, because that also doesn't happen. You'll
Right.
just fire the coach if the team is struggling and just figure something out later, hopefully. But they kept him on, and they gave him a roster where he can really kind of build his philosophy into the team.
Yeah, for sure. They like Tyrese Haliburton said that they have a bunch of 6'9" dudes and Anthony Davis. But it's Taurean Prince, it's Max Christie, who doesn't get a lot of love. Like the Cam Reddish, like you mentioned, like those guys bring a lot of size, a lot of versatility. Now they got Vanderbilt back, and they get to throw a lot of length and switching, and you get to unlock some extra versatility because LeBron James is 6'8" and he can play the point, and you're going to run the offense through him on the ball in the post. Pick and roll, like you can play a lot of ways. You can just focus on defense and run and push and mismatch hunt, and you have guys who are shooting the ball well. LeBron's finding them and hitting them in their shooting pocket. LeBron's also shooting 40% from three on almost 6 attempts a game. Like D'Angelo Russell's playing a pretty solid in like a more of a role than like I'm the guy D'Angelo Russell, which I don't really love, but he's fitting in. He's fitting in, and he's having a really good, solid season for them. They just have a lot of versatility that a lot of teams can't match.
Yeah, and when we talk about the versatility, we mentioned how incredible the Indiana Pacers offense is. And I watched the Lakers successfully trap Tyrese Haliburton, who we just mentioned is probably the best passer in the league right now. Well, just Jokic and LeBron. Like, I'm not going to just put him over them just yet, but arguably the best passer in the league right now. You can make an argument. And I watched him successfully trap him. And the thing to really think about, because I understand, like, yeah, you trap somebody, they're in trouble, whatever. No, because trapping is not just that 2-on-1. It's still, you got these two defenders, and then the three guys behind those two defenders still have to be real sharp on their rotations. They have to be exactly where it's supposed to be, or somebody like Tyrese Haliburton is going to kill you with the playmaking. And I watched the Lakers execute these traps to a T and give Tyrese Haliburton a tough time and give the Pacers a tough time. And so I feel like if you can shut down historically on pace to be the best offense in NBA history, that's saying something. And it's real scary because you also mentioned the pace and how they're near the top of the league in pace, where you have LeBron James running these fast breaks, who at almost 39 years old is still one of the fastest players in the NBA. It's something I picked up on just watching him again recently. And he's passing it to Anthony Davis, one of the most athletic bigs in the NBA, one of the fastest, and who's always going to run the floor if he's not like either complaining to a referee or like holding him. But and he has these guys on the wing. He has these shooters he can pass to. It's just, this Laker team is a lot more dangerous than what people may think. And I'm here to say it first. And it's not from a place of, well, we work for a big network, so we're just going to mention the Lakers and say they're dangerous to get views. No, they are genuinely a pretty dangerous team.
100%. It's unfortunately, it's all on the health of Anthony Davis and LeBron James again. But I mean, you could say that about every team in the league, that it's on the health of their top two players. But with Anthony Davis, it's just, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. And but talent wise, he's still having a really good year. It's just, he's got to stay healthy, got to stay consistent, got to be tough in these games, man. I just hate seeing Anthony Davis like kind of just like glide in the game. You know what I mean? Like you forget he's there. Like you forget, you have to mention him. And like there's too many games where he's not as impactful as you feel he should be. And it's difficult because he's a big man. He has to find a kind of force his way into being impactful and being loud, being noticeable. Defensively does a phenomenal job there. Like you mentioned, he's one of the most athletic bigs in the league. I love when he gets out in transition and he gets a stop. He's running, sprinting down there to get an easy seal and hit ahead from LeBron or D'Angelo and dunking it on and getting an and one. I just hope he's just not grabbing his shoulder after that. That's the thing with watching him, man. But yeah, they got a lot of the formula of 2020 and kind of a new school. They not doing it with a lot of shooting. They're doing it running, getting stops, and it's fun basketball. I really like watching them defend. It's a lot of fun. Them how great they are swarming. Trapping, you mentioned the Tyrese game in the tournament and the championship game. Just being able to swarm and recover is tough already.
Yeah,
as we know as Heat fans. But when you have 6'9" guys, you can play 5, 6, 9 guys at a time. It's a little easier, and you can shuffle and recover. But they still got to be sharp on it and not give up open shots, open rotations. and communicate well. And they do a really good job communicating. And it starts with LeBron and Anthony on the backside.
Yeah, and that's the difference between the Pacers and the Lakers, and that's why the Lakers had such an easy time beating the Pacers, because the Pacers they don't defend. They're
No.
just they are like the old school Nuggets teams, where like, hey, we're gonna score on you, you're gonna score on us, we'll just see who wins at the end of the day. The Lakers' pace starts with their defense.
Yeah.
And so that's the difference. And so that's also what makes them scary, because if you can score at a high clip and you can't be scored on, obviously you're going to win a lot of games. You're going to win a lot of important games. And when it comes playoff time, aside from the Nuggets last year, I think every championship team before that, from 1946 on, had one of the best defenses in the NBA. And so
Yeah,
the Lakers, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, it was like I remember Shane Battier mentioned that in like 2014, that it was like every team that had ever won it was like a top 10 in defensive rating. And they weren't that good, so like he that's when he knew they weren't going to win that year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Cavs in 2016 was the year that it because they were like 13th or something like that. But yeah, like the Pacers definitely have to kind of find some way to defend better. But the Lakers, it's all about health with them, man. Like they showed you this run. They're a really good team, real tough to beat team. And I remember the panic in the beginning of the season when they lost 2 out of their first 3, and everybody's like, "Oh, are we doing this? Like, who are this? Who are they gonna be? Like, failing LeBron." But I mean, they've been fucking amazing, and they're gonna be another tough out this year.
Yeah, and I still think the Nuggets are the team to beat in the West, because we'll talk about Jokic eventually, but he's ridiculous. But I do think putting Anthony Davis on him, it wasn't as successful in the playoffs this last season. But hey, it all comes down to Anthony Davis at the end of the day. Yeah. And I do think his biggest issue, aside from health, is engagement. Because like you mentioned, he does coast through a lot of games. But I think if that's your biggest weakness, you're kind of in a good spot.